Andrew Berman from NMP, and thank you for joining us for another exciting NMP webinar. Today, we are going to go over ITIN lending made easy. Super excited for you to join us for this one. You guys know how passionate we are about non-QM. I really feel like non-QM is a huge differentiator that allows mortgage brokers, to offer things that their retail mortgage banks down the block can't offer. So I'm really excited to present this to you guys. Before we get started here, just a couple of quick things. First off, I'm doing this right now. I'm taking my cell phone, putting it on mute. I shut off the notifications so I can focus on this webinar. I suggest you do the same. If you know the way we do this, we're always in and out inside of an hour. So promise that to you. We will get you in and out in an hour. So if you could, we'd love to have you actually get your full attention here. If you have any questions along the way, if you have any questions, use the question box on the right-hand side. And just to make sure it's working, can you guys just do me a favor and use that question box right now to tell me what city and state you're connecting from. So on the right-hand side, use that question box. Let me know what city and state you're connecting from. And let's see, oh, they're starting to roll in. We got people coming in from Paris, California. We got Anthony coming in from Santa Ana. We got Alberto coming in from Elizabeth, New Jersey. Bobby coming in from Roach, Missouri. Got Andrew coming in from Woodland Hills. Tony coming in from Miami, Florida. Susie coming in from Colorado Springs. Ann coming in from the Woodlands, Texas. That sounds like a cool place. And we got Juan coming in from Downey, California. Shelly coming in from Irving, Texas. We've got Dottie coming in from Simi Valley, California. Brandon coming in from Overland Park, Kansas, and a lot more. You guys I really appreciate it. So obviously the thing is working. Use that. Ask your questions. Make sure actually you're heard. As my grandfather used to always say, the only dumb question is the one you don't ask. And without further ado, I am excited to introduce the star of the show today, Robert Senko. Robert?
Thank you, Andrew. We know you're the star, Andrew. I'm just a support character for this performance. So you are the conductor. Thank you for having me. I appreciate everybody's time. As Andrew said, we will make sure to be under an hour and hopefully leave some time for a couple questions. So, the purpose here today is to take a little mystery out of ITIN lending. It's a huge product for us. It's a big innovator, and it's a product that a lot of people are confused about. So hopefully by the end of this, you will feel confident in being able to market this product and hopefully do some business with us down the road. So let's start the show. Andrew, you're driving, I'm speaking.
Fantastic. All right, next slide.
Next slide. So who are we? We are ACC Mortgage, the oldest non-QM. It's funny, Andrew and I were just talking beforehand, and we were talking about business, and he says, oh, well, you do some conforming and conventional type stuff. And I said, nope, all we do is non-QM. That's it. This is not an appendage. This is not new to us. This is all about us doing non-QM. And that is all we've ever done. That's my history. I've shared that on previous webinars. Flip to the next slide if you could. I think you jump backwards there, Andrew. So again, ACC, we are a CDFI. What is that? A Community Development Financial Institution. The U.S. Treasury has certified us because of the good work and the programs that we offer to underserved markets like the ITIN community, the African American community, single women, head of household lending that we've done. The theory is, and my belief personally, is that home ownership does create better communities. So by offering programs that non-traditional or traditional lenders don't offer is what we do best. And for today, we're going to talk about ITIN. Next slide, Andrew. As one point, for those new to non-QM, I'm sure a lot of brokers and loan officers out there have become more familiar. One of our first webinars we did with Andrew that was very well attended was kind of an introduction to non-QM, because it's a new product. You know, statistics back then, probably about a year and a half ago, said, you know, only about 20 or 25% of loan officers had ever done a non-QM. We still find and meet new clients every day that have been in the industry 10, 15, 20 plus years who don't really understand non-QM. Previous webinar that we did was for self-employed. How do we do bank statement lending, P&L lending? Today, we're going to talk about ITIN clients, which is different than foreign national clients, and Fannie Mae fallout loans and jumbo loans and NEVA investments, meaning we do all the loans that the traditional GSEs do not do. So for those that are new, that are looking to fill their pipeline when rates do eventually go back up and they're looking to be more important to their referral sources and close more loans, this is when you think about non-QM, self-employed, ITIN clients. And today, again, we're going to focus on ITIN clients and making ITIN lending easy, taking out some of the mystery and making you a more educated and more dynamic loan officer. So we have a poll question next. Andrew?
Yep. All right, guys. This is where we need your help here. So curious on the line if anyone has done an ITIN loan. So you should see actually the poll launching any second now. Just wait for it. Well, okay, there we go. Right up on the screen. If you could just let us know if you've done an ITIN loan. And Robert, so I call it ITIN. You do a lot of these loans, so I should be calling it ITIN, shouldn't I?
ITIN, just rolls off the tongue. Just rolls off the tongue.
All right. So basically, my entire life I've been calling it, ITIN incorrectly. So all right, no problem. So listen, right now we already have 65% of the room has already voted. Let's try to get to 70%. So keep it coming. Keep it coming. All right, we're 1% away. Come on, baby. Fantastic. We are at 73%. I'm going to close the polls out and let's see what we got here. All right, Robert, I don't know if you can see the results on your screen. It should be loading any second. Wait for it, and there we go. There we go. So 40% of the room have done an ITIN loan and 60% have not. Is that in line with what you see actually, when you talk to brokers out there?
I'm impressed. That's actually higher. I'm wondering if the other 30% of the room that didn't vote, just didn't want to answer, because I would have guessed a little lower, but that's a good percentage. So I'm happy that they've done that. But there's also some distinctions with differences that people associate ITIN loans with foreign nationals. I mentioned that earlier, and what that means. So we're going to do that, but that's, there's a good percentage of people that have joined, that are going to get some good education from this. So I'm glad, and hopefully it'll give those people, they may have only done one and it wasn't a successful venture. So hopefully we'll get to that. So let's flip ahead to today's lesson slide. All right. So our goal today is we have 3 points to cover. And as Andrew was asking, what is ITIN, ITN, however you call it? Is ITN lending legal? That's a question I get asked quite often. What is my opinion? What has our counsel shared with us? And then ultimately, how do I qualify an ITIN client? How can I get questions from my realtors and referral sources, but I don't know how to do it. And everybody does it a little different. We all, Andrew, we had a Victor Barrera who reached out to us before this and was asking me some questions and comparing contrast to how Fannie Mae does their ITIN lending, and that's completely different. This is not a Fannie Mae program. So we will touch on that and how to qualify and how do we do this, and how can people qualify more borrowers and be more valuable to their real estate agents. So let's flip to the next page, ITIN market statistics.
Great. Just so you know, we've already have questions coming in. So yes, keep those questions coming in. We're going to get to every question we possibly can. If we do not get to your question today, we promise actually, or on this live, you will hear from someone from Robert's team. So just ask any questions you possibly can, and we really appreciate it. And Victor, thank you for that question. Really, really loved it. It was a great question. I thought it was really well thought out, and always love that kind of feedback.
So this is the boring page. I know a lot of times, whether you're in a classroom or webinar, people put stuff up on the board and, you can read it. But this is some important bullet points that I do want to cover that I think kind of create and set the tone and understanding for the marketplace. So what differentiates, what makes an ITIN borrower, okay? These folks have come into the country either as a student, either illegally, and we're going to talk about that, but they file what's called the W-7 form, right? We've heard of the W-2 form, but this W-7 form assigns an individual tax identification number. Obviously, ITIN, the IRS does that, the federal government gives people these numbers. They file their taxes under this number. So that's where the acronym, the short answer comes from. Some people didn't even know what that means. They just thought it meant something else. That's where it is. Individual tax identification number. Now, the borrowers that we tend to lend to, not just all, but for today's discussions, are, and it's not a very PC term anymore, but they tend to be what was previously called illegal aliens. They've come into the country, whether they've overstayed visas, whether they're here, however they got here, by boat, plane, parachute, they are here. And these folks are working, they're paying taxes, they're filing taxes, they're using their ITIN number. Now, here's just some research I was doing in order to fill this. There's a lot of political heat around this, and this is not a political webinar. Back it up, Andrew.
Oops, sorry.
That's all right. What are the impressions? And myself personally, these people, this class that we lend to, they're here to work. They're here to provide for their families, and they're not looking for handouts. These people are working in our restaurants, on our trade industries, and they're paying taxes, making money, and they want to buy a home. They want to keep people in their home. Now, if you're of the mindset that, these people are here legally and they should be thrown out, well, I was looking at this, I never even heard that, but as I was doing some research, it would cost, $600 billion to round people up to go through this motion, and there would be a reduction in the economy from the lack of labor in $1 trillion. So they're an important component of our economy. This is an interesting, I thought this number would have been higher. I read, some estimate 3.5% of the total population are illegal immigrants, though the actual figure is difficult to determine. I think it's higher, in my humble opinion. So I think the market is much, much greater than that. Over 5% of the labor force consists of illegal immigrants. Again, I think that number tends to be higher. They're found in farming occupations, construction jobs, and that's from Pew Research. That's not, my made up. 6 states account for nearly 60% of all illegal immigrants. So if you're in any of those markets, this is a good product for you. We do a ton of business in all those markets, except for New York, as Andrew and I were just discussing. 2 out of the 3 adults who've been in the United States have been here in the country for 10 plus years. They're your neighbors. They're, going to school with your kids, and their kids are going to school with you. So they've been here. And I can tell you my performance, okay? I'm a lender. We risk our money. We have covenants that the performance on this paper over 5 years, and we track this data with our investors to see how this is performing, is astronomically incredible. It's over 99.5% performance. The loss rate is
Wow.
non-existent. And that's because they're qualifying full doc, they're putting money down, they've got real skin in the game. So we're going to talk about that more as we move through this and when we talk about qualifying. Let's go to the next slide.
Robert, there are conforming lenders that would be jealous of that kind of default rate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I put this slide up here, for several reasons. The imagery, our typical ITIN client, we have a lot of business owners, they have families, they live with third generation families, grandparents, their kids are in school, they're productive members. So I ask, for anyone that doubts or questions, the validity or these people, it's like a family is a family. They want to buy the home. They're here. They're here to support their families. So can you tell if this family is a naturalized citizen or they're an ITIN family? You can't, because they're here working. They've got pride of ownership. They build up communities and homes. So as you think about this product, don't think about it in terms of the non-PC term of illegal, aliens. These are people that are here, that are providing and adding benefit to our economy, and they want to invest into the American dream. And I don't have a problem supporting that. And I want to make sure, and when you see the performance, you see that there are people that want to pay, that want to support, they want to have a better life, and they see that here in the United States. So food for thought, not a political discussion, not a sermon, just a thought.
Yeah.
So,
and they're paying taxes. They're paying taxes. They have enough money they can afford some down payment. They have enough credit. They've shown actually that they're exactly the kind of people we want in this country.
Exactly. So here's the question again that we get asked all the time. Next slide. Is ITIN lending legal? Yes, it is. We've had counsel review. We are lending to a person with an individual taxpayer identification number. They are filing taxes, as Andrew echoed the comments. There's nowhere in the CFPB, Dodd-Frank, anywhere that says that us giving a loan on U.S. property, that a borrower has been properly vetted per all the ATR rules, that there is nothing illegal that blows back to the originator or to the originating company or to the institution that is purchasing those loans. So this is legal. Nobody's going to get in trouble. And I know that's a lot of concern that we hear quite often. Next slide. How do I qualify my ITIN clients? This is the million-dollar question. This is why everybody is here. The fact of the matter is, it's easier than Fannie. I mentioned a gentleman by the name of Victor reached out to us. Fannie Mae has different qualifications for borrowers that are only using an ITIN. They require green cards. They require visas. Our program does not. This program does not require that. That's a Fannie Mae program. This is a private lending institution program. So what do we require? What are the covenants of it? Well, right now the max LTV is 85%. We require tax returns or business bank statement lending. That was my last webinar. I can send that if anybody wants to see that. We require a CPA prepared P&L. We need ITIN verification. Remember that W-7 form? We need a driver's license or passport from their native country. We need them to take a HUD home buyer course. And if the DTI is below 43, we don't require reserves. For LTVs of 80% or lower, you can have all gift funds. So how can we get them qualified? You send a 3.2, 1008, 1003 in credit, and we can get you a loan proposal that you can bring back to your client and show your agents. We're a 21-year-old company. So we could stand behind that based on that pre-qualification. What can hurt, right? What hurts these deals? Same as that hurt your traditional. Credit issues, lack of reserves, lack of verified housing history, DTI issues, of course. We'll go to 55% max in some cases. And of course, with a wink and a smile, not working with an experienced lender can hurt you. So that is the program in a nutshell. It's not that complicated. In fact, it's fairly easy. These are simple loans. People are putting down 20, 25%. We verify just as we do. We source any of the funds. So it's just as you would work with any of your other borrowers. It's the same concept. Right here is the meat of how you qualify. No great mystery, nothing tricky to it. That's what you need. We look at everything, we validate, we issue an approval. We support communities, we build up communities. Again, just a couple quick slides. We use a bank statement calculator like you do for your others. We use a profit and loss. Next slide, like you do for your others. This is from our previous webinar. And then ultimately, next slide, much like any of your other clients, we need the ability to repay. That doesn't go away. That doesn't change. You need to make sure you're putting people morally and legally responsible to make sure that these clients can afford this home. You don't want to set someone up for failure. So we're documenting. Just because they're an ITIN client doesn't mean the laws don't apply. They're protected by the rules and laws of the United States. We are lending to them. The same rules apply. That's why I splash ATR all over this page. Make sure they qualify. If they qualify with all the typical documentation, they can be approved, as the professor stamps. Next slide. Keys to success. Now, this is a slide that I keep up with all my webinars. You know, non-QM is different. This is not Fannie Mae lending. This is not UWM lending. It is a different process. It's different nuance. It's more of a manual underwrite. It's not a DU type process. So it is a manual underwrite for us and for all the other non-QM lenders out there, particularly with ITIN clients. So I always say, embrace the nuance, okay? The biggest thing, the biggest challenge, and I keep this up and I remind new account executives, new clients that come to us, new referrals, new brokers, you know, you have to set the proper expectations for borrowers, agents, sellers, everybody. You know, a lot of the business that we get, we're the second look because they were turned down, and this goes across all programs. So this is a good, important note to talk about. Just set the right expectations. If you can gather all the information on the loan proposal provided and create the sense of urgency, we can close these deals in no time. We can challenge UWM, but we set out a 35-day timeline from the time they sign the application to close. That is typically more than enough time, but you got to set the right expectations. You have to work with urgency. You have to gather all the information, and you have to understand this is a back and forth process, and work with companies ultimately that are experienced. This is all we've ever done. There's some good non-QM lenders out there, so I'm not afraid to say that. I know we've been doing it for 21 years, but what you have, and to my earlier point, when you see companies rolling out non-QM products and they've been a traditional GSE, that's not the best referral source. That's not the best investor to work with for the non-QM products. Work with companies that have been doing this, that specialize, because you get tripped up. You have underwriters who aren't familiar with the products, and that they're able to underwrite these quickly, efficiently, and without too much back and forth. So previously I didn't tease. There's some changes and some announcements that I want to share with you, the first people to hear that will be rolling out. So Andrew, with a drum roll. So as we speak right now, we're putting some finishing touches for the brokers to have a non-QM pricing engine that will also have ITIN, bank statement, Fannie Fallout, second chance lending, NEVA, DSCR programs. You don't have to be approved with us. You don't have to be signed up with that. We're going to have that where you can go in, put in a little information, and you are in. You can price out deals and then decide if you want to get your company signed up with us. So that's going to be the non-QM pricer. You're going to start seeing that in various publications. We're going to be marketing that. So that is going to be a big push for us and a big tool for you, particularly if you're new to the non-QM industry, to be able to price deals and understand and get more comfortable. This product is not going away. It is only going to grow. The second thing is we are working with our capital markets and our capital market partners, and we're planning on even enhancing our ITIN products even more. We hope to have in the second quarter a 90% product. So for all the people that have joined us today, when that product rolls out, we will be announcing to you first and foremost for that. So some great changes are afoot. More as the non-QM industry matures and grows and we figure out better ways to support the marketplace. We're coming up with tools, not just us, but even some of our competitors. But this is a product that's not going away. Within a year or two, I expect to have nearly 90 to 95% of the people that have attended this call today to have done an ITIN loan and repeatedly do an ITIN loan. It's a great product. It's great for the communities. It's great for you. It's great for your brokers and agents that want to sell more homes and get more people into the community. That's how you build, better communities. Yeah. Last page, and then we can tee it up. We've got through fairly quickly and in around 30 minutes. If you're interested in doing business with ACC, here's the Comergence code. I know Andrew sends out copies of this, but if you want to write that down, if you want to get your company signed up with us, so it's typically around, I think, $79. We pick up that cost for you to a very simple application approval process for your company. Wouldn't take any of your directors or owners more than 40 minutes to upload everything. If most of it's in there, it's 2 documents to sign, so we're an easy process to get approved. If you have any questions that you think about, you can email to the professor at ACC Mortgage, and either myself or one of my leaders will respond to you. But since we have some time, Andrew, do you have any good questions for us?
A lot. They've been loading up here. So, all right, we're going to start here. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. All right, let's just go all the way to the top. We're not going to get through all this, but first off, yes, you are going to get copies of the slides. So just got a bunch of people asking that. All right, so let's see. So someone asked DTI.
DTI, as I said in the one slide, we can go to a max of 55% with other supporting, with having additional reserves, typically 3 months reserves over 43 DTI.
Oh, okay, fantastic. All right, next question. Do you have a problem with legal aliens having a reference to a social security number when running credit for the ITIN?
We do not.
Okay, fantastic. Next one. Yes, we're sending out the slides on this. All right. Do you offer this product as non-delegated correspondent?
We do not currently. That's something we're looking into as we talk about our capital markets partners. We might be rolling out that program later in the year, but as of today, this is strictly a wholesale product.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, a couple of people asking for their specific company. I'm going to leave those for you. pay the taxes, a little bit of political commentary. How do you handle Patriot Act requirements?
We validate, we get a driver's license, a valid, state driver's license and or a passport.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. All right. Next, do you run credit with the ITIN, which I think you kind of answered that already.
Run it, depends. We sometimes run both to see if there's credit that's associated with the ITIN number or the social security number attached to that individual.
Okay, and it's the next question. People are asking about credit, and talk a little bit about what you need to see from a credit standpoint.
We like, we like to see at least 3 lines of credit. Sometimes there is no credit score. Sometimes we have absolutely no credit score. So what we like to see is good credit, of course. We like to see above 620 if there's scores, but we'll work with alternate credit sources as well.
Great. All right, 85% require MI?
Nope.
Ooh, nice, fantastic. Okay, what if the buyer is doing taxes with an ITIN but uses fake social security number for credit?
We look at all those. We put everything together.
Okay, fantastic. Is LTV and terms dependent on FICO score?
Yes, they are.
Okay, fantastic. Does it require reserves?
As I said, below 43% DTI, we do not require reserves. We like them. It's a nice compensating factor. Above 43, yes, we do.
Got it. Okay. What about rates?
Rates range from the low 6s to the mid upper 7s typically.
Got it. Fantastic. So what is the max loan amount?
Max loan amount. We've done a few north of $1 million. A lot of these clients aren't buying houses in Malibu, California. They're more in the moderate home price range.
Yep.
Even in California, which I know has higher price points. So we've done a few in and around $1 million. We can, per program, we can go up to 3 million. I haven't seen any of those programs, to be honest with you. I haven't seen any of those deals come across, but in theory, we could.
Okay, and so kind of another follow-up question on the social security number. So if the social security number is different, than the ITIN, does this affect loan guidelines?
No, we look at those all encompassing. We look at if there's any credit support for the ITIN number and with a social security number to see if there's any credit that we can tie to this individual.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Let's see. Alternative credit allowed? These borrowers often live in cash communities.
We do. It will probably impact LTVs if we don't have a lot of times a VOR that we can document, that they've had a lease. A lot of times they're private or they've lived with family members. So it'll typically just be a hit to the LTV on a program like that.
Okay. This next question, we did already. Minimum. You said minimum FICO score, right?
Yes, 620. We've made some exceptions, but it's a good rule of thumb. One question that didn't ask, I had on the slide and did not get deep into it, but we do accept gift funds. A lot of these communities, you have family members who are here. Gift funds are allowed. We can do 100% gift funds if they're 80% or lower. So that was on the previous slide. Wow. I didn't go down that, but that's a powerful tool. If they're doing 85%, they have to have most of their own money into that deal. But on 80% or lower LTV, they can have 100% gift funds.
Fantastic. That next question is how can real estate agents position the ITIN buyers? How can they? Let me just make sure I read that again. I think what he's saying actually is how do real estate agents position the ITIN loans to their borrowers?
Well, that's where they should work with, and if they don't have a good loan officer that specializes in that, I can refer them some of our brokers, depending on the market. But it's really a tool if they're in the community and they know there's a population, because typically, those communities travel together, they migrate together and they settle together. If they know people in those, they can say, we've got financing for you. Typically, that's how it opens up the dialogue. So if they have a database, if they're in those communities and they can tap into that, they can kind of stand up, wave their hand and say, hey, come talk to me. I know, you own a business, you own construction, a landscaping business, they're making money, they want to buy a home. That's the type of clients that, they should be seeking out, and they would become those resident experts. And if they have a good loan officer that can get them qualified and work diligently to get them approved. And of course, wink and nod, they'll send it to ACC.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, next question. Have you experienced any issues with warehouse lenders funding ITIN loans?
Nope, they love them.
Yeah, with that kind of default rate, how could you not? All right.
Exactly.
Okay. I know you talked about rates and the rate range. Can you talk about maybe what factors impact that rate range?
Well, typical. It's, credit score, like everything else. I can send out rate sheets after this to everybody who's registered, so you can drill down into those. But like any other non-QM, the better the rate, the better the FICO, the better the rate. And if there's no FICO score, then, there's a rate hit to it. It doesn't exclude them. It just creates a different risk-based pricing.
Fantastic. All right. Let's see this next one. All right. Oh, yeah, that is huge. Auto Pricer is such a time saver. Thank you, Susie. Susie should get a t-shirt. Do you have an ACC t-shirt we could send Susie?
We will. I've got a nice, we just ordered a bunch for the spring.
Fantastic. All right. Wow, his mind is blown. Okay, the commentary on your awesome artwork. Fantastic. I have a lot of commentary of people just liking the presentation and excited about the product. So do you allow refinances under this program? For example, ITIN ARM to fixed?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. That's easy. All right. What is the max DTI, which I think you covered that already, but for whatever it's worth.
Sure, I'll say it again. It's up to 55%.
Fantastic. Wonderful. We went through the rates already. Okay, next one, PMI, no PMI, so remember that. Okay. How about non-owner occupied cosigners? Do you allow that?
Typically no. But it's one of the advantages, having been doing this a long time, is, send that deal in. Let's see if we can get comfortable with that. I haven't seen that too much, but you may be able to structure a deal with that. So the short answer is case by case.
Great. Okay. Next one. Would you consider sourcing deposits on a self-employed borrower if this is non-QM? So would you consider sourcing deposits on a self-employed borrower?
Sure. We still need to source. We need to follow, AML, BSA, to make sure, to paper trail, that sort of thing. We want to avoid, nefarious money coming into the system. But again, that being said, if it's coming from a family member, a gift, we can use gifts. We can, they don't have to hide. There's a certain percentage that we know that there's going to be mattress money. We understand that the nature of these clients, but by and large, yes, we are going to source.
Okay, fantastic. Why is there a 5% LTV reduction required in Illinois?
Illinois is just a trickier state. Some of the state rules and past performance has dictated that, but those are some of the changes that we're looking into the second quarter. So I hope to eliminate that 5% hit in Illinois.
All right. Hey, listen, 4 people from C2 Financial asked if you're approved with them. So I figured I ignore one. The second I could ignore, but 4 people asked. You guys on with C2 Financial?
We have over 1,200 approved brokers. So I'd be lying if I told you. It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
If not, we'll make sure, take that code and we'll get you approved quickly. It doesn't take long. If the paperwork, if anybody's worked inside a Comergence, a lot of the documentation's there. We're not a deep probe. It's a very simple agreement for any of the owners out there, any of the branch managers that want to get signed up with us. It doesn't take long. We can do it in, within 24 hours, we can have you approved.
Fantastic. All right. Yes, and yes, the recording will be available. Seasoning of funds?
We like 30 days.
Great. Fantastic. So one slide, the person said 85, the other side said 90% because it's 85, but now it's going to be 95 coming soon, right?
That's the goal, right? That's the coming soon, that second quarter. Just a little teaser. So we'll notify, we get everybody who's registered for this. We won't have an obtrusive database, but as those programs roll out, we will notify you as well. And if you do get signed up with us, you'll know that very quickly as well.
Great. Now, I think the next person is asking, are you allowed to housing events such as 30 days late, 60 days late?
Within reason, everything, that's non-QM, right? That's, there's no cookie cutter box. If there's a explanation and an event that we can document and we can feel comfortable and the DTI is good, and for whatever that event could have been a medical incident or tragedy that caused that, it's part of the story. It's part of, you got to look at the mechanics. We can't just say, well, gee, they've got a 60% DTI and they had this. No, that's not going to work. We still need to kind of apply the common sense. But as you look at those, it's worth us to look at it. Okay. You don't get approved in the one day. It's, you got to gather all the documents. So anything's reasonable. The mortgage industry, and this comes from Wall Street, not from my sources, but over 55% of every single non-QM loan has some level of exception. Okay, that's a Wall Street stat, not a Robert Sanko stat. So that's why you got to ask. You got to ask. More than half the loans that go through that get securitized have some level of exception.
Great, fantastic. Do you allow cash as a source of down payment?
Say again?
Cash. Do you allow cash as a source of down payment?
Sure. I would, have them season that in the bank account. If that's something that they can do, just to put that into the bank account. You can't show up to a title company with a brick of cash. The title company will have a heart attack. So get that, if they're trying to buy a home, get that in the bank account, right away.
Fantastic. All right. Tri-merge or just one bureau?
We look at a tri-merge. We, depending on, we focus on TransUnion, does a good job with these, but we look at, we like to start with tri-merge.
Okay. Does the passport have to be valid?
It does not. It can be expired.
Okay. Someone's asking questions about loans. How many ITIN loans has ACC closed?
We've done over the last 5 years nearly $400 million worth of ITIN loans.
Yeah, Robert, one of the things I love about you, you're always so transparent. So buybacks if a borrower is deported? Oy.
I've never faced that, and
Hopefully you never do. What if the borrower does not have a work visa or passport, which we've kind of just addressed those, but you
well,
know,
hopefully they have a driver's license. So, we're not, Fannie Mae does allow for people that have work visas. We're not requesting work visas. We need some, as you asked earlier, some level of for Patriot Act driver's license or, passport. And again, these people have filed an ITIN, the W-7 form. So they're here, they're filing taxes. They typically have driver's license and that type of documentation.
great. What about DACA recipients?
That same process.
Yeah, fantastic. How do you handle borrowers that pay rent in cash?
We can get, BORs. Again, that would adjust the LTV at times. So getting 85% if we just got cash, we can get, a VOR from a private individual, but that'll probably require an LTV hit.
Fantastic. All right. Some more. What's the minimum loan amount?
We don't like to go below 100,000.
Okay. Can you do ITIN loans for investment properties?
We can.
Fantastic. Is this borrower paid or lender paid?
It's borrower paid.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Let's see. I don't know if you want to address this, but explain why rates are higher if possible.
Risk reward and, capital markets. Fannie Mae is backed by the federal government. So that's a conversation for another webinar. And why is non-QM higher? Why is jumbo higher? But bottom line is, institutions, there's only a handful of companies like ACC that are doing this, and to appease the investors, these are the returns that they're looking for.
Great. Do you do cash out?
We do.
Okay, fantastic. Bunch of people asking what states, single family residential only. Well, I see we already said you do investments, so I know that, but so let's see. Why aren't you offering rates for ARMs?
Because my investors like fixed.
There you go. All right. We got the minimum. So do you have marketing flyers in Espanol?
We do. We do. White label flyers that you can use to market for our approved brokers.
Great. Excellent question there, Karen. All right. Do you do refi loans on an existing ITIN loan?
We do.
Okay, fantastic. Are your loans sold in the secondary market?
Some are. Some we retain on balance sheet.
Okay, fantastic. A couple of people asking about the 85% versus 90%, which just it's 90% is where we're hoping to be going, but right now it is 85%. Right, Robert?
And going back to one last question, somebody had asked about ARMs. We're working on some ARM programs into this second quarter. So that's part of my teaser, get signed up with ACC because we're pushing for some enhancements, working with capital markets and our team. These things take a little more time, but, we've got, obviously we've done a lot of business with these programs. And as we look to the future and look to grow, we want to always be improving, right? Every lender's coming out with enhancements and improvements. So, as I said, I expect into the second quarter to be able to offer some ARM products and some slightly higher LTVs.
Fantastic. All right. Let's see. Hold on. Just trying to eliminate some of these duplicate questions here. Okay. Is there a prepayment fee to the lender or borrower for refi? If not, how does the prepayment speed compare to other 85% LTV?
These are very sticky, meaning that they don't turn over very quickly because most of the programs, are owner occupied. The rates are very good. I know they're not Fannie Mae rates, but they are excellent. They're affordable, and there's not a pool of lenders that are coming in with lower rates today to refinance out of them. So they do that per our agreement. We have a 6 month, we'd like to see those perform, and I haven't asked one broker to refund any of the ITIN borrowers.
Fantastic. Employer gift allowed?
Employer gift allowed? That's a good question. Maybe. I'll be a salesman here. Sounds good. Send that deal in.
That's great. All right, wonderful. So let's see. ITIN purchases doable, cash out. We've already said that. Okay, we got that. Is mattress money available?
Yes.
Cash.
Yep.
Good.
We touched on that as well.
Okay. What is a down payment requirement? Which I think pretty much we've just talked about. Actually, the seasoning and cash. Answered this question. Do funds need to be seasoned? Yes. Oh, here's a good one. All right. Can 3 people be on the loan?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Is there a maximum number of people that you will allow on the loan?
37. No, I'm kidding. I think we've done 4.
Okay,
and
fantastic.
that goes back to one of the points I made earlier, is that you do have multi-generational and siblings and their wives that with this community, that they do live a lot of people in these homes. So we have had up to 4 people on a loan.
Okay, fantastic. How long does it take to close?
Our goal is everything under 35 days.
Fantastic. How do you guys price out on other programs, DSCR? Well, something we can come back to that on a future webinar.
Send me that question. I'll get them our rate sheets. We're fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of people asking for rate sheets, a lot of people asking for matrices. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are just already thinking of deals. Like you could see like the files in front of them right now. All right, let's see, what else do we have? Can you use a person that has a social security number, another one that has an ITIN number? I know you did answer that already, but
yeah, that's a good question, because you have that. I know what they're asking, because that has prevented people. So you may have somebody who is here, who's a naturalized U.S. citizen, and then you'll have an ITIN client, and that's, they may be the breadwinner or they may just be the co-borrower. It doesn't matter. But that causes a lot of fits. So the answer is yes, we can do that, and we do an awful lot of that.
Great, fantastic. This person signed on late, but if you wouldn't mind just addressing it, I think it's important that people understand this. So I signed on late, so disregard if it's been addressed. I'm not disregarding, but do you need a U.S. ID or passport from country of, or is a passport from country of origins fine? Can you just address that? Because I have a couple of people asking that.
If they have a passport, that's great. Or if they have a U.S. driver's license, state, or an ID card, we can use that as well.
Okay, fantastic. We've got 60 days seasoning on cash. I think you said 30 days, right?
Correct.
Okay. Multi-unit buildings?
In some markets, we allow, we allow 4 units. I know, I think New Jersey, we're not my secondary is not a fan of the 2 units, but we have done multi-units in other states.
Okay. Interesting. Someone just brought up a good point. You do have to make sure you have an unexpired ID to close. At least the title company will want that.
There you go. That's a good LO right there.
Yep. Yeah. That's great. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna destroy this this word here, but very common to see Marcus Marticula consular. Are these acceptable forms of IDs?
I don't even know what that is.
Good. I'm just gonna, yeah. I wish I just deleted that before I made a fool of myself and attempted to say that. Let's see. Most cities are allowing them to get ID cards at the DMV. That's a good point.
Yep.
So someone's asking who services these loans?
Either myself or my secondary trading partners.
Okay. Fantastic. And yes, we will be sending out a recording of this after. We got a lot of people asking, about this for investment properties. Okay, can you finance the borrower paid comp into the loan amount, sort of like FHA upfront MIP?
No.
Okay. Got on late. Someone else is asking average rate. A couple of people did. If you could just run that over again as far as average rate.
Sure, low sixes to mid to upper sevens.
Okay, fantastic. People asking about those dynamite. That's what we got this. There's a lot of enthusiasm about this, Robert. Okay.
That's great. It's funny. A lot of people have stayed on this for the whole time. We ended right around the 2:30 mark, and most people have stayed on. So it really shows a lot of interest and demand in the product. So hope to get to know a number of you and do some business with you all in the future, because obviously there's a lot of interest. But
yeah, I have like pages of questions here, so I apologize everyone whose questions we didn't get to. Robert's team will get back to you, but it's fantastic, great interest here. Does the property need to be in perfect conditions? What are the guidelines?
That's a great question. So, and that is always one of the bigger challenges. So the short answer is yes. We want to make sure that the property is in good condition from time to time. We may have an LTV cut based on property condition or require work to be done. That is always a challenge. So that's actually a very good question. So to create right levels of expectations, that can be a challenge. We don't like anything less than a C4, and C4s can offer challenges at times. But we do that, but it may come with at an LTV hit.
Got it. Okay. But do we need appraisals and inspections?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Let's see, next one. Oh, fine. Do you do condos?
We do.
Okay. Will you take a Mexican driver's license?
I think we have. That's a great question. I believe we have. But again, they have an ITIN number here, and we can tie into that. But I'm 99% sure we have used Mexican driver's license.
Great. So it turns out a Mexican ID is that word that I was trying to say before. So thank you for reminding me how much of a gringo I am. All right. So how about co-ops?
We have not come up with a co-op. So the answer is no. The answer is no.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
Co-ops are tricky. So.
Yeah. All right. So did condos already. Very interested. How about new construction?
We have. Absolutely.
Okay. Max LTV for a cash out refi?
80%.
Fantastic. Okay. Will you allow an inter-family transfer refi?
Interfamily. We've done stuff like that within our non-QM. I mean, there's a lot of layers to that. So the short answer is yes, but it'll come with a lot of follow-up questions.
Fantastic. Okay. Rural properties?
Again, we do there'll be an LTV hit.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. People giving their email address so they can get packages sent to them. Mixed use properties?
No, not currently.
Okay. All right, and we're basically got 2 minutes or 1 minute left here. We are almost done, and we're almost answered all the questions here. Do you finance mobile homes and vacant land?
No and no.
Okay, and how about manufactured?
Nope.
No. Okay, with that, I think that brings us to the end here. We actually got through all the questions, and as I'm saying, more are popping up. But so listen, Robert, as always, great to have you on the NMP webinars. Always so informative, and I always actually try to stay away from where we talk about too much product. I like talking about concept, but let's just call it a spade a spade. You've mastered the ITIN product, and you're teaching us the concept of this. I think is just great, but it's great to be able to do business with a legend in the non-QM business, a company that's been doing non-QM before most of us even had a clue what non-QM was. So, Robert, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
I'm just living in your shadow, Andrew, but I'm just trying to catch up to you. But thank you as always.
Thank you, brother. All right. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us for another NMP webinar. We got a lot of cool webinars coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're filling out our calendar for the rest of 2020. So stay tuned. Really appreciate you joining us and enjoy the rest of the day. And with that, we conclude today's webinar. Keep on boopity.
I thought that went well.
Yep.